Right, so we're here at AMTEC today with Jason. We're ahead of the open day they've got next week. Is it the 5th, Thursday?
That's right.
Thursday the 5th. They've got an open day that sadly I can't be at. I've got to be at a wedding somewhere. And we're going to have a look around the place where you've got the open day being set up at the moment, and while we're look around the machinery in the yard, yeah? See what you got.
That's it, Clive, exactly. That's the plan. We've got the open day on Thursday. It's a fairly simple event. We're mainly based around the yard and the machinery, so we thought we'd just take a quick tour so people can see what's here and what they can come and have a look at.
Brilliant.
Yeah, at the same time.
Right, so this is the area separate to the main yard where it's going to be, and this is the machinery that's all for sale on the day.
Machinery in that sort of top area there would be the sales machine day.
Yeah.
Marquee, etc. will be there. People parking on supposed out here.
So marquee, catering, food, beer.
So we've got food, the Happy Herefords, they're called, down the road until they're going to provide the food for us.
Yeah.
It's
So
fairly simple.
This is the event you've done before, but you were telling me it's been in a building before, yeah?
Yeah, we ran the event. Most of it was prior to COVID. We used to do one every year before then. And we've always had it very much based around the yard, the machinery, come and have a look at machinery, talk to people. We have had others coming in to exhibit us at the event as well, but this time we're just keeping it about the machines here, our yard, and potential customers to come down here and talk to us, or previous customers, and talk about their needs are going to be this year.
Yeah, so not just sales though. I mean, I don't know, a lot of people might realise, but you've got quite a big hire fleet. Yeah. A lot of these trailers obviously hire out harvest.
A lot of discussions around hire. Hire has been, the last 2 years, hire has grown significantly for us. I think there's probably various reasons for that, but certainly there's certain things that have done very well. Trailer hire is obviously an obvious one, but for us particularly, probably the stronger areas for us is cultivator hire, drill hire, things that people want to try a system, see if it works for them. A demo is not very long, is it? Where you can hire it for a season, see how things go.
Well, demos are difficult, aren't they? It's always like, on the day, for instance. I mean, things like direct drilling, for instance, if you want to try that as a system, you can't just rock up and do it on a particular day. The conditions matter, don't they? Timing matters. So
no, exactly. Yeah. And also across the farm, you have all different land types, don't you? And the things you want to try out in. And then see how it turns out. So that's been very popular for us. And also, actually, the other reason hire for drills has got well has actually been around SFI. Because if someone's planting, say, I don't know, a smaller area of wildflowers that they've got a direct drill in, they don't normally have the system to do it, they'll hire like a little more unit drill. We'll have a look at those later down. Yeah. Just for a week, get that drilled in. Or it might be a contractor who's doing the job for somebody.
Well, it's all specialist bits of kit now, aren't they? And a hell of a lot to invest in buying.
It's only for a small area.
Yeah. It makes sense. Also, I guess that transition, I mean, from my point of view, direct drilling, the drill you end up with, maybe 15, 20 years down the line, direct drilling is not the one that you should probably be starting with. I mean, a lot of people go that strip till route, don't they? So if you know you're only going to run a strip till type drill, maybe the first few years, might not want to buy. Yeah. And then,
it'd be too big to jump straight to ultimate direct drill if you've been in a conventional situation.
Yeah.
There's been other areas as well where hires worked really well for us. And it's been kind of outside of ag in areas like where you've got big infrastructure projects, got a big solar farm going up. Just think, that areas like that, they need to drill. More unit drills have gone down well with that. And then even we've got HS2s nearby. We've had people hiring stuff for that, sets of discs, ploughs, got remediation work. Some of that land will, after it's been hammered like it, we'll need a lot of work to do into it. And again, it might not be, in some situations, it might not be that it's their first, they might not be a farmer first thing, so they need to hire the kitman. Or it might just be a project that there's no point buying something just for a few weeks.
Yeah, we actually, when they did the M6 toll road near us and through some of our land at the time, we were involved a bit there, kind of, subsoiling, remediating the land around it afterwards. And they kind of, they know what they're doing, their diggers and construction equipment, but when they did a tractor in a subsoil or something, they don't know who to ask or where to go. They don't want to go and buy one. Yeah. So is everything, I mean, trailers, obviously everyone, a lot of people we hire grain trailers in at harvest and whatever, for instance, but is everything AMTEC have in their yard available for hire? That spray, could a hire a lead? A sprayer a bit specialist,
yeah. And obviously the other thing is with we need to have been through it and checked if we're going to hire it. It needs to be of a condition and working level that we can be confident to hire, because obviously if you hire it, you don't want then downtime, do you?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how does that work then? There's, because sometimes machines, all machinery breaks sooner or later, doesn't it? No matter what colour it is. But, if you're holding the baby, if you've hired something and, that wear and something breaks on you and it's not your fault, you've not damaged it, you've not, hit anything or the operator's done anything stupid with it, that's not your responsibility to hire. How would that be dealt with? I mean, that must worry some people. The fact it's not their machine. What if I damage it and I get the big bill just for the day I had that muck spreader? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always that. And obviously, as you well know, in our industry, weather's a big player. If you hide it for a week and it rains a week, what do I do? Now, obviously, what we try and do in those scenarios is be as flexible as we possibly can. Obviously, it's not here in the yard. We really need to be getting some income from it. At the same time, if there's down days because of weather or something happens, we try and work around that and add some extra days. Generally, a machine would go out in a good condition with good parts on, and the wear and tear for the week's work, whatever, would be expected.
Yeah.
Obviously, if there's something outside of that, or if you're having it for a long time and need to replace something during that period because you've worn out the discs and need to put new ones on, that's obviously part of the cost to the hirer. But the general machine will come ready to go, and we would expect the wear and tear that somebody would have in how long they've hired it.
Yeah, got you. So it's just about relationships and everyone being fair around it, isn't it, really? Yeah.
It is really, exactly.
Yeah.
And obviously the key thing for somebody that's hired it is you still got to treat it like you would your own piece of kit. If you're going to wear a disc down and suddenly start running a bearing or a leg too far and it's going to start damaging the machine,
yeah, that's your fault. Yeah.
To replace it. You can't just say, well, it's hired.
But equally, I guess, people could take advantage the other way and go, well, I'm hiring a muck spreader on a day rate, so I'll run 3 8-hour shifts on it and get my money's worth. You get people doing that as well, I guess.
We did do a lot more hire based on an acreage basis, which to a degree did work, but then we found actually it's better just to say, if you've got it for a week, that's how much it's going to cost you. And what you do with it in that week, if you want to run it 24/7, well,
yeah,
all the best luck to you.
Yeah. Have a little wander down, see what's that is. So anyway, yeah. So mainly trailers lined up in a moment, but what is it today? It's Friday today, so you're still setting up and shifting machinery around to this side of the yard.
Actually, this whole line of trailers are actually hired now.
Yeah.
So they'll all be going out next month and be back in September, October time.
Yeah. We can't walk past these Ploughs. I need to have a look at these. Yeah. They're alien comments. So, are people still buying Ploughs, or as magazines like Diet Driller would have you believe that there's nobody do this ancient craft anymore? Yeah.
You've watched seasons 4 of Ploughs and Fat?
Yeah,
Lemkin.
Oh, yeah. One came from here, did it? So, yeah.
But yes, no, Ploughs have actually been, they still are very popular. In fact, almost been a little bit more so in the last couple of years. We had a bit of a low, but right now they've definitely still got a place. Actually, going back to the hire point we discussed, Ploughs have been a good one for hire because, again, somebody might want to throw it in for
rotationally. Yeah, it's perfect, I suppose.
Use it every 5 years or something. Well,
you don't want it sitting and doing nothing in the rest of the time. Yeah, it does make some sense. I mean, joking aside, they're just another tool in the box, isn't it? It's kind of like, why make life hard yourself if there's an agronomic case for using a plough? Why not use a plough?
Exactly.
So well,
it's down to everybody in the situation at that time, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Ploughs are still a bit.
Yeah, and the trailers, obviously harvest. Yeah, again, there's that extra demand. I mean, we, in our own case, we've got a couple of our own trailers that we have all year round, but that additional keeping up with modern combines, you normally need more than most farms and costs. Yeah. We have some which go out on a longer term for silage. Yeah.
There's some which aren't in the yard now because they would have gone out in May, beginning of May, and then be out till October. Obviously, depending on how many cuts they get, but
there's a minimum period on that. I mean, obviously, wheat harvest can all be over in a couple of weeks on a lot of farms. You don't want it for months.
It's really down to a price. So 1 week, you can have a price for 1 week. You take it for 10, it's obviously a bit cheaper. And 6 months is a bit cheaper again.
Yeah.
Trends has been a good one. But I'm actually went out now and doing a few more. Still got inquiries coming in. But
yeah. So is there like a sale on the day as well?
Yes.
So how's that work? An auction format or?
No, it's purely we're going to put price tags onto the machines with what they were and what we've dropped them to. So
Yeah.
This area straight ahead of us here will be the machines that will be on sale time.
Right. So yeah. So yeah, everything. Yeah, discs, cultivators, trailers, rolls. Yeah. You got our old rake, or did you sell that 8 metre rake?
That's sold that.
Did it? Oh yeah. It was
Something not liking well the other day.
all right. Yeah. It's great. I bought one and now they've gone out of fashion. Is that? Yeah.
Right. So definitely not place. So you bought yours because of the width.
Yeah, it was the only. I mean, that 8 metre rake, that's Sumo Strake. It's a good rake. It does a bit more than raking, but it was our last remaining piece of kit that didn't fit in with the 12 metre system. So the rake and roll at 12 metres, it just completes there was like the final piece of the control traffic kind of jigsaw for us, and also actually the roll element as well. I think that there's a value to that. They're a machine that I've kind of had my eye open for one for a few years, but they're normally either too much money or knackered. That one you had was a sweet spot of not too much money and not completely knackered. So we'll see how it gets on that. But it does just complete that, Yeah, exactly. So right. So yeah, it's
all these machines that were not the big dumper. So that just
I say that
one of the haulage companies just dropped that off it.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
So the idea was to keep the cars and pedestrians separate, so people would come in and sit out there, drive up there, park up that end. We'll have somebody around here to discuss these machines.
Yeah. But it's not like a farm sale type format. You're not just going along each one auctioning. It's kind of like they're just offers on the day type thing. Yeah, right.
Much for people to take time.
Yeah.
I mean, what the other thing we're hoping people want to do as well is it's a good opportunity to have a lunch with some others and network, isn't it? Yeah, have a chat.
Well, yeah, and I don't think that kind of stuff's ever been more important. These farming events at the moment actually seem to have had a resurgence in popularity, and I think a lot of that is not necessarily because people wanting to get their checkbooks out and spend money, possibly the opposite to be fair, but more around they need to talk. There's a lot of pressures, isn't there? I mean.
And I mean, I came to that direct drill event. I just found really useful to see a group of farmers just talking about all the challenges and what different people were doing, and this niche.
It's where the real knowledge transfer takes place. Farmers talking to farmers with no real agenda. What works, what doesn't, warts and all. Is valuable, but also, say, at the moment with the pressures and let's face it, suicide records and depression in agriculture, it's important that people keep talking to each other. So
it's good. So that's obviously we're hoping just to make it available for that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to buy something if you come.
No. This is well, your yard is always interesting anyway. No, there's so much good kit here.
It's good. There isn't not many places where you get to see pieces of kit from sort of 1980s up to last year.
Yeah.
It's in every kind of category.
It is. Yeah.
So that's
It always amazes me, to be honest. Like, well, the diversity in farm equipment that there is, but also, sometimes. I don't know, it's expensive to change your mind, isn't it, in business and farming? But when you see some of the drills that are only a year or so old, you kind of think, well, yeah, someone made a bad decision there. But you're saying earlier, what doesn't work for one person might be absolutely the perfect machine for a different farm and different situation, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We find as well is if you've got a big estate or something.
Yeah.
Every farm manager has its own sort of agenda. I mean, I don't mean that.
Yeah.
Somebody will come along and say, I want to reuse all this kit because that's what I've always used. I love that.
Yeah.
If he leaves and the next man comes along, he suddenly wants to change all that round. And,
there's a value in familiarity, and we're going to get run over it. But there's a value in familiarity, isn't there? If you understand, and you do find that, don't you? There's a lot of loyalty with farm machinery branding and whatever.
Yes.
That, like, in some cases, people are very out of Vardestad or Horsch. They know the dealers, have the relationships. And, that has a value. So,
and that's where we can step in, because we're not particularly stuck with a dealership for a particular brand. We've got with every eventuality.
Yeah.
Loading a container there for
Exports that. Oh. Yeah. Is a lot being exported at the moment? I mean, how is the kind of, we've obviously, what's happened in agriculture, government inflicted over the last 12 months, it's put a bit of a cloud over everything. And obviously, my knee-jerk reaction to that is, well, I don't want to invest, I don't want to spend any money right now. Well, that impacts on guys like you probably first, doesn't it? All the dealers, because nothing's really changed yet for me. But if my checkbook's locked away,
no.
That's how is the market? Has it been?
Yes, no. I mean, it's definitely picked up this year. The back end of last year, I like to say a lot. The reaction to everything that piled into, seemingly to push the industry kind of, and obviously being the time of year as well, everybody kind of thought, well, let's try and stay out of the way for a bit.
But it felt like a perfect storm, didn't it? As prices were falling, government clearly against us, subsidies being cut, everything came down. Yeah.
But certainly this year, and I personally think because of the season we've had as well, I know we've been a little bit dry latterly, but in general, the spring season has been quite kind.
Yeah.
And everybody feels better when you start to see it growing, and it does help everybody's mood, and in general, it has picked up quite well this year.
Well, life goes on there. We've still got to plant stuff. We've still got to harvest stuff. So irrelevant of the economics and politics, the job's still got to be done, and kit still wears out, doesn't it, or needs replacing. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's definitely, and probably because of that, in some respects, second hand might be a little bit more buoyant because it doesn't quite hold such a high price tag as some of the new kit. So if you can find a machine that'll do the same thing,
well, you're not suffering that off the forecourt type depreciation. So I suppose if you buy well and sell well, actually, sometimes, even if you don't want to go that high route you were talking about, I suppose sometimes as long as you buy right and you sell well, it might not cost you much to try stuff out the different ways. And I think that's where this focus is coming now, isn't it? That I think the one thing, any of us that are like, right, okay, look, the politics are where they are, the economics are where they are, we may have to farm in the future without any subsidies. There may not be a SFI replacement or whatever. I think people that are in it for the long term are starting to have to think more than ever, well, how am I going to change my business? Again, me personally, I can't compete with Eastern European cereal farms or preferential trade deals with the USA or European farmers that subsidise when we're not. So can I continue to just keep growing, efficient combinable crops at global commodity prices? Or do I need to find the next step for my business? Do I need to go more down? Do I need to start looking organic or livestock or things that change my business? So I guess
I think it's an interesting point because it is a. Okay, I know obviously there's a lot of things that have been on farming in the UK lately, but if you can't compete on a price, I mean this is true whatever industry. If you can't compete on a price, you have to find a different way of doing something. Is there a way of, like you say, growing something slightly differently, where you should command a bit of a premium to make that difference, or even through the ways we sell it, or I don't know what the answer is.
It's easy. Steve Reed said all we got to do is grow bigger yields and spend less money. It's like, I don't know why we never thought about that ourselves. It's easy. Shall we look at the drills? I mean, you've got a real good selection of direct drills, so obviously this is something I know a bit about. But I mean, can you go anywhere? I mean, I don't think short of a big event like cereals, I don't think you could probably go anywhere else and see basically every colour and every brand there is and compare them back to back. In fact, better than cereals in a way, because you only get their latest, greatest offerings there. Here you've got various generations of horse and Claydon and
you definitely won't see a Simba FIFA. So.
Yeah, well, I mean these have got such a loyal following, haven't they? They're an absolute gem of a machine. A lot of people convert them with, is it Metcalf that do a conversion for them, don't they?
And actually, you find that with the longest. So you get an older drill like this, or some of the old sprinters or COs, horse. A lot of that people are buying the older drills and converting them because, as you were saying earlier, if you're starting on a direct journey, you probably don't want to jump straight in at sort of 6 figures of drip. When you're still probably learning how your soil works with it and how everything goes. So, I mean, you did the same.
Well, we started when we first went down that route. Well, we bought a Dale and we bought a 750A the first year to compare that Toyne versus this thing. In our case, the disc drill was more versatile with the cover crops at the time. I mean, this is 18 years ago now, so everything's come on a long way since. And the 750 actually ended up working really well for us. But we missed the tine drill, in the system. So even now, we're settled on a system. We've got the 12-metre Avatar, which is our mainstay drill. It does nearly all the establishment most years. But we have a horse CO that we've chopped and changed around no end, call it the Frankenstein drill. It's been changed so much, but we've developed that into, uses the Borg-out type tine conversion for low disturbance. We're using it now with the front hopper, so it doesn't even have the seed cart. But that whole drill, it's probably, even with all our chopping and changing, I mean, we imported that, I think, from Poland back originally. I bet we're not £10,000 into that drill, but what it gives us is a wet weather option. So the Avatar just, it's a fantastic drill, but not when you've had rain on rain on rain. We get these extreme seasons. So to be able to use that, that's got us out of trouble a lot. It's also, I've just found agronomically on our land, again, this changes every farm, but tine drills for us, crops like beans do far better behind the tine than the disc. The disc just puts them in a bit tight on our land. So it gives us versatility, but I couldn't justify or afford going and buying a new tine drill just to do, say, 5% of our acreage every year. So it's perfect from that point of view. But
that's exactly what it is.
But this Simba stuff, I mean, it's testament to how well it was built, isn't it? I mean, what you were saying is in 1980s now, and it's still, I mean, the metal was clearly different in the 80s to what it is now, isn't it? Because
This picture here, then, it's like your early days. You got a Dale and the John Deere.
Oh, right next to it would have been, So we had a 9-metre Dale and a 4-metre 750A, and they both played their part. And actually, interestingly, the output between the 4-metre 750A, which you could pull pretty quickly, like kind of 13, 14 kilometres an hour, we found to keep the disturbance low with the Dale at that time, that we were going slower, like 6 and 7, or you got too much disturbance. So, interestingly, the 4-metre machine, this machine, and the 9-metre tine machine had very similar daily outputs, just because of that different speed. So, it's not all about size, is it? Sometimes how quickly they're pulling it. But I mean, I think this is, for me, the 750A is the drill that changed. Without this drill, we probably wouldn't still be farming like we are, now. It kind of
changed the way
it literally changed everything about the way we farm. So I've got a lot of love for them still.
Yeah. Because the actual drilling system's not vastly different to the Avatar that you're running.
If I'm honest, what attracted me to the Avatar at the time, because if there'd been a 12-metre 750A, we probably wouldn't have looked too much further. But yeah, I think I almost went out and looked for the drill at the time that had the most similar call to the 750A, because we knew it worked on our land. And actually, what Horsch have done with it is that the engineering in that simplifies it. I mean, these are great, but there's a lot of, they're a drill that you've got to make sure you go into eyes open in terms of bushes and bearings and whatever. They're but it works. It works really well. I'm a machine. I'm amazed that John Deere hasn't developed further. Just bigger. You look at most of them. Just simple things. Slightly bigger hopper capacity.
Changed much in years?
No. Which you could then argue that means they just got it right first time. Yeah. But yeah, Claydon is a drill. You've got a hell of a selection and different versions of, or whatever, Claydon, and this is where most people start, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a simple system to get into direct drilling, isn't it? And
I think again, when we went, I think our journey was Vardestad Mintil, Vardestad Rapid, which you've got no shortage of those either. Which the first year or so we direct drilled, we used the Rapid. We just just in the right, kind of wheat after beans or after oilseed rape. It wouldn't cope in a high trash cover crop. Vardestad, have seed hawk and whatever for that now. But as a kind of dipping your toe in the water, I think there's nothing cheaper than using your existing equipment. No. But then we moved into we had a Claydon, the early V drill originally, and then an early SR that we ran for a year or two, and it just, I think it's a way to ease yourself into it before you go a bit more hardcore, low disturbance, 750A Dale or many of the other stuff that was available. I mean, that's the other thing now, the choice now. If you think 15 years ago, really, there was Dale, John Deere, Kuhn, but no one really had one. that was always really on them, and Claydon, which was more strip till.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like you see, you can almost go as sort of as simple or as complicated as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them now will just tell you all about in different pressures on different coulters and all the different things that you can do, which might sound a bit, if you're just starting out, sounds a bit.
Yeah.
You think, this is a bit scary. Whereas you can make a start with something simpler.
The idea, the whole principle behind going to direct drilling for me was simplifying what is becoming a complex system. And, I don't like to see it. Sometimes I see some farmers, I think it's going full circle now, where they're starting to overcomplicate direct drilling. You've stopped, they kind of, everyone gets, it's about getting away from all these bags and bottle farming. But it strikes me some people are just swapping one set of bags and bottles for a different set of bags and bottles, or one set of complicated machinery for another. If you want to make it work and get the kicks cost down, you've got to keep it simple. And there's nothing really. You looking at these kind of, particularly the earlier Claydons and stuff there, they're a really simple machine, aren't they? And there's a, And
it's the whole, you'd know this better than I would. Well, it's the whole journey, isn't it? I mean, it's not just grabbing a direct drill and saying, hey, I'll direct drill it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the biggest thing is, your soil health, what you're doing with your soil and your cover crops and how that all comes into it, isn't it? Because if you just try and replace what you've been doing with, a drill that looks like it drills directly, probably wouldn't get the best.
When people fail, in my experience, the farmers that have failed when they're trying to change to a direct drilling system, it's because all they've done is change the machinery.
Yeah,
it's an important part of the change in the system, but it's not really where it starts. Rotation and agronomy and nutrition and stuff, that's really the difference between success and failure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just noticed that the Nexus M50A, the 740A, that's a rarer machine, isn't it? Not
that's good.
The double disc.
Yeah.
So you really don't see so many of them. I guess the 750A has been.
Funnily enough, I mean, how similar is the drilling system actually to the next door?
Yes, actually, yeah. It's surprisingly similar, actually, isn't it? Yeah, so a double disc opener rather than there. So and Claydon, obviously, you've got various, a few to choose from and various kind of inches. So I suppose would some of these have been with the grants? I mean, how did obviously the grants aren't such a big thing now. They disappeared. I think they've come back just recently, but they're not as generous as they were.
No.
How did that affect the drill market for you guys? I mean, did it kill second-hand prices?
It had the early part of last year. It had a big impact, because obviously at that point the grant was quite generous.
Yeah.
On a new piece of kit, and so obviously it suddenly made. Buying a new drill compared to a one that was a year or two old, suddenly the new drill became cheaper. So there was a sort of levelling up period, if you like, which I guess was a little bit painful for everybody involved, because it meant that we were having to offer a lot less to people for their second-hand kit, which was suddenly a big knock. It meant that we had to sort of take a knock on a bit of kit. Thankfully not too much, but we had some that we'd bought just prior.
Yeah.
And you basically paid too much for because the grant came in, so you had to flip that quickly and sort of try and get back to the new level as quick as you can, because otherwise you can't kid yourself and say we're going to sell this for whatever.
No, you've got to
it's not going to be
realistic. Yeah,
you just have to move it quick and sort of get back down to the new level. But as you say, this year's definitely not as big a grant. I don't think it's had quite such a big impact. I know it's had talking to some of the manufacturers, it has almost a bigger impact than them, because when you're waiting for that grant, there's this period of people wanting to buy the drill, but I'm only going to buy it if I get my grant.
Yeah, so in no man's land.
Exactly, and you can sit there with it.
So at the risk of sounding a little bit political, do you think grants are the right way to support farming and things like that? I mean, or does it just put the money in the manufacturers' pockets? Who really gains from that?
I don't know. I can't really answer that, but I guess I do think that they could probably introduce a grant that covered second hand as well, because surely if you did it on a percentage basis, it would be cheaper for them.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be a smaller amount given, but would still help somebody, like we've just been discussing. If somebody wants to get into direct drilling and they want a bit of a help in that scenario, if they gave them a percentage grant against a second hand machine, that would be a lot cheaper than giving them a big grant on it.
That'd be a much more grown-up way of looking at it, wouldn't it, I suppose? Because, what you're doing, it's not 100% grant. It's never been, even when they were generous, it was never 100% grant. So I suppose what you're doing is encouraging, the farmer has got to find that balance and you're encouraging them maybe to buy a more expensive drill than suits or fits their farm.
And if ultimately that turns out not working for them, but they've been pushed down to that because they thought, hey, the grant's going to work.
And they're into high depreciation on a new machine.
Exactly. So, and I do think as well, yes, obviously they want to promote soil health and direct drilling, but could they cover more things? Is there anything wrong with somebody still using a rapid if they want to use a rapid? If they're still farming properly, if they were still doing a good job.
To my mind, it doesn't mean if politically they want growth and investment and a successful, thriving kind of sector or industry, it shouldn't matter really if you're trying to do that because you're changing to diet drilling or you want to kind of farm with more cultivation. Different systems suit different farms. Exactly. So if you're not careful, you create an inequality and imbalance between farmers. But I guess the danger with funding the second-hand stuff or grants for second-hand stuff is you could get kind of, almost fiddling of the... They'd have to have a solid mechanism to do it. But I'm sure it's not beyond the wit of people to be able to work something out that can't be abused.
Absolutely. Although, of course, there was plenty of people trying to abuse the new system as well. So, it's always going to try. Yeah. But I do think that, like you were just saying then, if you want to have a thriving farming community and business, you can still promote healthy, good, sustainable farming.
Yeah.
Without having to push people down particular routes.
Yeah.
The whole point, sustainable by the whole definition of the word surely means it's got to be profitable as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what would be really nice if they just did something and stuck to it? Because it's this constant moving a goalpost that makes it worse. Yeah. And as you say, at the moment that people are like rabbit in the headlights. Well, I won't buy anything because there might be a grant next month, and that creates in the meantime nothing moves, nothing changes.
Exactly. So no, I think the key thing is to get a healthy farming network that keeps producing, isn't it? I mean, that would be hopefully the goal of somebody.
Yeah, it's Missouri. They're not far from here, are they?
No,
no, pretty local. Yeah,
yeah, we've done a bit with them.
You do,
years.
Yeah, still popular.
Yeah, they export quite well actually. Eastern Europe seem to quite like them.
Are we export competitive at the moment on farm machinery? There's a lot leaving the country.
It's still a reasonable amount. I mean, for us, it's probably stayed fairly steady as a percentage of turnover for us for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's grown alongside the UK. But we tend to find it's very much based on relationships you have with. A lot of it does go to dealers over there that obviously then selling on. So a lot of it does come down to relationship we have with people, and they come and go on.
And is it the older equipment that tends to get exported? I mean, I remember traditionally it used to be that's where tractors went when they were too knackered for a UK farmer to, even gone beyond kind of kind of Stockman type level of comfort. It's right time to export it. But is it actually modern kit?
I'd say now that it's quite a mix.
Quite
a lot of modern kit would go out there as well. And funnily enough, a lot of European brands that would have been imported into this country in the first place. We sell a lot of Horsch or Vadestad kit back out to France or Germany. But I guess it's just, it's probably the same as it is for us. For any second-hand dealer, the biggest challenge, if you like, is finding the kit to sell. And so I guess they're looking everywhere, and if we've got the kit, well, imported from us.
Has Brexit affected that much for you? Has that made it more complicated or expensive?
Only from paperwork point of view.
Right.
Things like getting clean certificates and that for machinery before we can export it. That sort of thing. But and obviously vice versa if we do import it into this country. But it's not been a huge amount. Just adds a little layer of cost.
It's funny that clean thing's really. I took a Land Rover out to Africa 3 weeks ago, and we literally came back with half a Sahara attached to it. And I thought, for the getting it back imported, it have to go through the same perfect. Don't have to do any of that apparently. I was like, hang on, it's a bit of a nonsense that we have to do. Our machinery has to be done like that.
That was the funny thing to start with. I mean, they have. Well, of course, that probably will change again now they're doing deals with Europe. But when we initially, when Brexit first happened, and we initially everything that we had to export had to be absolutely spotless, and someone had to check it. And yet we could import stuff, and they never washed it at all. It would take a period covered in mud. So we were happy to have theirs.
Well, I'm not surprised that it doesn't work both ways.
But then more recently, they have put that step in the other way as well. But then, like I say, I mean, rumour has it that could all change with the new deal with Europe anyway. We might start relaxing some of that. So
Yeah.
But yeah, these here, these are very popular on the high fleet.
These are what you bought on these for the demo day we did for the cover crops day. So yeah, and and it's all growing. Despite it being drilled into a desert and only raining a week ago for the first time since, actually it's green over. So I need to get some pictures of that up on on the forum. But yeah.
So yeah, we have both the 32 row, which is more for grassland, and the 24, which obviously is arable spacing. But these have been really popular all round. Like I say, SFI drilling some wildflower in, or some borders or something, little 3 metre thing like that.
Perfect.
Covered for a week.
Mounted handy to get into corners and things like that.
You're sort of talking about £1,800 for a week or something, and you can get loads done, and saves you.
It makes perfect sense, particularly for like say larger farms and big trowel machines, trying to kind of do these. When you got like 6 metre and little kind of margins, it's a nightmare. You spend more time backing into corners than actually drilling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but again, it's just a bit like I said about Simba stuff. Sometimes I think is there anything really new in farming, because actually the more design is. How long's that been around?
Oh, it's never changed, has it?
Yeah, so it clearly works.
Yeah, absolutely. It does still work, exactly, and it's still. Probably, especially in the grassland scenario, it's probably the thing we get asked for the most. If someone wants a grass drill, it'd be like, have you got them all?
Well, and they're not drilling the whole farm every year, aren't they? So I suppose
if you're overseeding or something like that, I mean, it's the absolute perfect tool, and it works really well for locals as well, because they can. I mean, obviously, if we're hiring further afield because of transport, etc., it really needs to be a week.
Yes, yeah.
But some of the local guys can pick it up, take it for a day or two just to get a bit done.
Yeah,
because they can just pick it up and drop it back off.
So the hire bit is definitely becoming a bigger percentage of your business, yeah?
Oh, absolutely, no, hire's been growing massively, and like I say, probably for various reasons, but
So have a look at these discs though, really. So I saw these when I came in the yard, and I've often thought this colour, this orange, means from Simba's reputation was for basically machinery built like a brick outhouse, right? So this colour orange just means built like a brick outhouse to any UK farmer, and always will. Yeah. So these are something you're having manufactured, and
these is some. I mean, obviously it'll be for sale as well, but largely was based on a lot of inquiries we had for hiring. A lot of people, could remember you've got a big heavy duty job to do, some land reclamation.
It's very like the old 23C type.
Exactly. And they said, look, I need an old heavy set of Simbas. Now, obviously, as we've discussed already, like Simba
getting old now.
It's getting old, and especially the discs. I mean, they wouldn't have made the old discs for years.
Yeah.
So to get a good set was also a bit of a challenge. So we went out and sourced these, which we made some slight changes for what we wanted them to be like.
Yeah.
But they'll be for sale as well. I guess it's probably hire will be probably their biggest opportunity, because most people now probably wouldn't want to do this every year.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's but I suppose
So we've just run some field trials with them, because they only came in last month.
Right.
But obviously it's not the perfect time of year for them. We'd quite like to try them later in the year after harvest, when we can really hit some what we really want them to be, and what we've designed them to be, and how we want, like you said about the Simba, we really want them to be that heavy duty.
It's strong. It's strength, isn't it, in these things? There's been lots of stuff, since Simba, that it just it doesn't have that same build quality. No. That's what I was saying about this colour. I think it's just absolutely lodged in our inner psyche as farmers that this means strong.
So what? We've been really impressed so far, but we really want to hit some really hard old soil that hasn't been through it to see how it performs.
Well, this big and more heavy land, high clay content soil stuff. Serious overkill for our boys.
Yeah, I think it would turn it really would make it a sandpit. But obviously we're heavy clay here, so there'll be opportunity. No doubt there'll be opportunity once it's been harvested here to try them out.
Yeah.
But we put in a video up of them last week at Vale Fresco over in Hampton Lucy by Stratford.
Yeah.
But they're a salad grower, so obviously their ground is very well cultivated.
Yeah, it'd be quite fine.
This was fairly soft, but it did a great job. Took out raised beds from like previous crop.
Will they be at any shows this year? Are you taking them anywhere?
I have actually. I did because there's the tillage shows later.
Yes. So
I did think that might be an opportunity.
Yeah.
But obviously they'll be here for the open day as well. So come and
have a good look at them. But they do
poke around.
They're very, they're reminding me straight away. Literally, even just driving past it, looks like a brand new set of Sigma discs there, right?
But yeah, no, they are. We've gone sort of heavy duty on it all for that very purpose. Yeah, that's what we wanted them to be.
You extend that further. I mean, make new versions of things like Solo, for instance. Or...
Be nice.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah.
No, obviously that I mean, it is definitely something that is in consideration, because we do get especially in the UK, there's still that place in people's heart for that Simba kit, expressors, Culti pressers.
Yeah.
And there isn't really anything on the market quite like it. And if we get second-hand ones, we can sell them very quickly. So,
really,
who knows? Watch this space. See what we can do. We have got the flat rolls as well, which we
are they?
They'll be coming under they've come under the same brand.
Yeah,
this is our own brand. And again, this is sort of been really going through a trial stage, but been a little bit dry for too much grass rolling.
Yeah, well, yeah. So what my big extravagant machinery spend of the year was £1,500 12-foot roll off eBay, but just to roll some horse grass paddocks. My wife wanted doing, and it's been too dry to use them. Literally, they're like doing nothing at all. But yeah.
When the time comes, we'll try and get some videos, etc., of those in action as well.
Yeah.
And then this side of the yard's all cultivations.
All cultivations. Yeah.
The drill run, and then this is all cultivators of
discs of everything.
Various. Right, yeah. That's it.
Yeah. And what's most popular?
Yeah. To be honest, it would be a short disc, if you like. Carrier is probably still the most popular.
Yeah.
And anything of that ilk.
And of course, I mean, obviously, you have to buy stock to sell. So what can't you get enough of if someone's got to sell? What are you keen to buy right now, or what don't you want because you can't sell it?
To be honest, most of the leading brands, so virtually most Vadestad kit that's in good condition, most Horsch kit, we've been asked for all the time. Definitely Simba Great Plains.
Yeah.
But as you can see, we've got most of the leading brands.
Yeah.
But obviously, as you can see from the cultivation and drills is our sort of strong point, if you like.
You don't do tractors at all?
No.
What is that? Why is that? What's just too much to go wrong?
I think it's probably just we're not really kitted out for them. Even from a workshop and perspective and back and everything. We do a few. What comes through, we obviously do some farm clearances. That's been really good for us in the last year or two.
Yeah.
Go and take a job lot, clear that out. So that sometimes brings in some tractors. The combine up the top that's coming from one. So we do still do a few.
Yeah.
But I guess
try and avoid engines though if you can.
Yeah, we do. It's mostly the stuff that goes behind. Yeah. And our strength is in cultivation and drills. That's what we're
specialist and know it inside exactly what it's worth. Exactly.
Yeah, we're having a discussion the other day with the guy because they're saying we've got guys in our workshop that've been here for probably 15 years. They must have seen every kind of drill that you could ever imagine and worked on every kind of drill.
Yeah.
There's actually quite a lot of expertise there.
Yeah, you won't see that in any dealership, will you, really? Because they only get the brands that dealership sell, Yeah,
absolutely.
So brand preference.
So that's sort of, we try and sort of tap into that expertise, and that's kind of where we want to try and present as, that's where we can offer the best advice, the best solution.
Yeah.
Is on cultivation and drilling. But obviously, I think a lot of other things go along hand in hand with that. So.
And is that your in-house mechanics and stuff? They're only working on the stuff that you're selling here?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's they're not, And
no, we don't
send a machine in for refurb to you or anything like
that. No, sadly we're a bit too busy for that.
Yeah.
And no, it's just purely kit that's come in, goes through the workshop, and basically what we do, we're quite open what we do to it. It's just what needs to be done to each number, because it's very easy to process a second machine. Yeah. So it's a case of the skill of the workshop guy being able to look at it and say, these are the bits that need doing, these are the bits that people need to work.
Yeah. You're not trying to be like a full-on, paint it, make it like you, kind of rebuild machinery type thing.
No, because I don't think, I think what people want is just a good piece of kit. And if we're clear about what we're selling to them, and same when we advertise it, talk to somebody about it. If there's a problem, tell them, because you need to have that various levels of machinery. You got the top end stuff, but some people want to buy something cheaper. Well, if you've got that and you explain why it's cheaper, it's still a deal for somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense. I thought that was new for a minute, actually. That's done a bit, yeah. Yeah.
No, some of it is quite new.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly people change their minds sometimes.
That's it. That's it.
Great.
Yeah. Mowers have been good for hire as well.
Mower,
I guess
Oh, yeah, actually topping. And yeah, it's, again, that's something we bought last year as a topper. But
again, probably been a bit more used for arable in the last few years with SFI stuff to top off. And
yeah, it's been a whole new sort of, now I had to learn all about toppers and mowers a year ago. Machines you don't think you need, and suddenly become like, a third of the farm is going through it. So yeah. Great.
Well, that's a brief tour around.
Yeah.
And going back to the open day, if anyone wants to come and see it in real life.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Well, I'd say that's a great opportunity if the weather's good, and if nothing else, then get lunch.
Exactly. Nothing else. It's a free lunch.
Yeah. No, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Right.
Well, I will pay for it then.
Great. Right. Well,
good.
thanks for showing us around. It's been really interesting. Yeah. And some impressive kit here. And so you're definitely my go-to for, if you haven't got it, well, it's hard to find, isn't it? So, thanks.
That's it. Yeah, no, definitely. And it's been good to have a chat and it's to cover some of these topics. So I think it's important that we discuss what is going on in the industry and how it looks going ahead, because it's important for all of us what the next few years hold.
Well, these issues aren't. Well, the thing is, these issues don't just affect the farmers. Yeah. It's like there's a whole, and this is the frustration. Talking to some of the politicians, I don't think they really understand, that what's going on, that whole infrastructure behind farmers, the input suppliers, the machinery suppliers, both new and second hand, the manufacturers. It's a lot bigger than just what's going on in the field, isn't it? There's a whole industry and a huge amount of people, loads of jobs, loads of growth or potential growth in the country, or stuff that helps the economy. All the tax being paid by all the people we all employ. And they're not really appreciating that. So I said I'd try not to get political today, but it's sad to see that.
We do exactly the same. We try and stay out of that argument, but we have very much tried to focus on that in the last few years of what does the future look like for our customers, because ultimately that's the future for us. So we've done some surveys on people's buying habits around new and used, and what's affecting the different purchasing habits. We've done a bit of work around what people's view is on regenerative farming, or and what the take up looks like on that. And I think we'll continue to try and have these conversations because, as we've said already, we all need to have the conversations together to see what the future looks like.
Yeah, and I think, do you think the way that, with that in mind, the way that farmers are buying and finding the machines, do you think is the internet, is digital changing that a lot? I mean, I know it's still very much, it's a physical thing. You're going to want to, I doubt many people buy a machine from a few photos and an email.
Well, no, unless, obviously for us, it's slightly different, because if they've bought for us a few times, then you do start to get that a bit more, well, look, I've dealt with you, I trust you. If you say that, then I'll take it. Yeah. But definitely, if it's in a scenario where you don't know, you're going to want to go and have a look at it. But I do think that has, it's changed massively the way people are finding the kit. Yeah. You
think it's generational?
Yeah, I think so. And I think also, I can think, I've been here 13 years or something. I can remember when I started, you'd put an advert in the Farmers Weekly, and the next day you'd get phone calls. Yeah. Doesn't work like that anymore. You've got to talk to farmers in various different ways along various different platforms. Yeah. To keep the communication up. But I think that's the important bit.
It's interesting where that might evolve. I was saying before we were filming, I've got friends in the in the car world, and what they've dealt with a lot in this last 5-10 years, and it's accelerating still now, is the things have moved more online, and online auctions has become such an important part of their kind of businesses. And the ones that have moved with that and got on board with that have really done really well out of it. Those that stood behind and kind of wait for him to turn up on the forecourt and kind of suffered. And it'd be interesting in the next few years to see, do we go that kind of way? Do we have more of a online auction sites for and better? I've always found it's very fragmented, that market. If you're looking for a machine online, you've kind of got Google doesn't really work so well. So you've kind of almost got to go to individual dealer sites and see what they've got. Yeah. So the first thing, you've got to know who all those dealers are, right? Then look them up. Have you got? It's laborious. It's almost like, it feels to me like, we've always missed like an auto trader for farm machinery, where it's just like it's all there in one place kind of thing. I don't know. So yeah, interesting to see how that evolves over the next few years.
It will be. It will be definitely. And obviously, even just the way we communicate with everybody and the way you keep in touch. I mean, the world's changing, and farmers keeping up with that. And if we want to communicate with young farmers, you probably want to be in the social, whereas years ago you wouldn't have been doing any social media because no one really used it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So great. It's been really interesting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for showing us around today.
No,